who are in support of the motion say aye, and those who are against the motion say nay. The ayes have it.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Dennis Adigunloye. The legislators are scheduled to resume plenary on Tuesday, 30th of January, and no doubt the issue of insecurity in parts of the country will be a major focal point of deliberations. In the meantime, let's hear the thoughts of some experts in the areas of legislative practice on some major developments in the polity, including the recent passage into law of the 2024 budget, the speed with which it was passed, and most importantly, its implementation.
I appreciate the determination of the President and the National Assembly to preserve the January to December cycle. But are they? No. The capital budget of 2023 is still running now and will expire sometimes in March. So it is not January to December. It is January to March next year, which is 15 months. And right now, we may be having two budgets running. The 2023 budget running up to March, and you now have a 2024 budget said to be running from January. It is a situation where the executive has shot itself in the foot. And I think that we can only have a legitimate, reasonable January to December budget cycle, where when the budget is passed at least about 30th November or 1st December, giving the President and the executive at least 15 to 21 days or 30 days within which to examine the details of the budget. Because like the last one, the 2024 budget, I think it was passed on the 30th or 31st and assented to on the 1st. Now, if it passed on the 31st, what time did the clerk have to compare the version between the House and the Senate in the bill itself? What time did they have to consider the details of the House and the Senate in the schedule itself? That is the allocation to each ministry. What time did the President and the Office of the Chief of Staff and the Presidency have to transmit the budget, the proposal for each ministry, to the ministers of those ministries to see and examine whether what they submitted and what has been passed agrees with the renewed hope agenda, the renewed hope budget which Mr. President submitted. Now, when the President receives a budget, as having been passed, receives a bill, appropriation bill passed by the National Assembly and requesting assent, the practice we used to do, Senator Udoma and myself, Udoma was the Minister of Budget and National Planning. I was Presidential Liaison to the National Assembly. And with the Chief of Staff, with respect to him, with the greatest respect, the Office of the Chief of Staff, when I submit this budget as having been passed by the National Assembly, the Chief of Staff, at the instance of Mr. President, will cause the budget of the Minister of Works to be sent to the Minister of Works, Education to be sent to the Minister of Education, Science and Technology to be sent to the Science and Technology, Communication to be sent to Communication, and sectorally, each of them, the Judiciary to be sent to the Judiciary. They will now compare the extent to which the budget passed accords with the budget submitted, and whether there has been changes, if those changes are reasonable, or if those budgets has been hijacked and made just exclusively National Assembly budget. You know, that was when the question of padding arose, quote unquote. Now, when Mr. President is satisfied having input and responses from each of the ministers submitted to the Chief of Staff in response to his request for them to examine, He will now confer with our team, led by the Minister of Budget and National Planning and the Minister of Finance, and agree whether the budget should be assented to by the President or not. If it is agreed to, then they now fix a date for assent. And the principal officers of the National Assembly, presiding and principal officers as determined by the Chief of Staff, will now be invited for assent, for the ceremony of assenting to the budget. But this one, you pass it on the 30th or 31st, Mr. President assents to it on the 1st. They haven't looked at the budget. There is no magician. There is no magic to look at it and to agree whether it amounts to this. So the question of trying to keep the January to December budget cycle is not reasonable when the budget is past 12 hours, is past 24 hours, and then submitted 12 hours to assent. It doesn't give the presidency team, doesn't give Mr. President the presidency team the opportunity to allow the ministers to examine the extent to which the budget accords with the plan. And what this has done is that it has, the presidency and the executives seem to have lost or surrendered the powers of appropriation, initiating appropriation, defending appropriation, saying what should be done in terms of budgeting. Because whenever you sign, you are bound. Whether what the legislature budgets on you and you sign is right or wrong, you are bound to implement. So it's not reasonable. So we should review it and say, unless it is submitted, which gives the president at least 3 weeks to look at the budget passed before it is assented to. You now give the National Assembly, the legislature, the exclusive power to determine what puts in, and it is assented to, without the opportunity of the presidency team examining it, the ministers, the ministries, departments, and heads of agencies and departments examining to see whether it is right or wrong.
Well, first, let me recognize, the action of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, in cutting short his vacation to come back and assent to the bill passed by the National Assembly. That's some level of sacrifice. Recall, he just went for that vacation, a few days, in December, around Christmas period. Do not also forget that he really worked very hard out there in Dubai. I think I've already referred to this because he was all over the place. So, and then he came back and then was able to sign that. I think he deserves some commendation. And on the issue of whether there are, what to refer to as inconsistencies, I would like to disabuse the minds of the public about any such thought. However, if there are errors or inconsistencies, it is also up to our system to correct it and make sure that we must begin to build faith and confidence in our system. One thing is clear: Mr. President presented that budget, I think, on the 29th or so, before he flew out about the same day to come and meet us in Dubai for a major global event. And it was incumbent upon the National Assembly. It's their responsibility, to go through the budget and then pass it. I think both the National Assembly, which is a major critical arm of government that handles anything about budget, they also have, the power to handle everything about budget. It resides with them. It is a positive thing that they were able to do that and go through it and then pass it on for Mr. President to come and sign. to ensure that we maintain the January, December lesson. Yes, I see your concern. Some of those concerns were also expressed by me in one interview I granted, whether we are losing some things in such a hell of a hurry. But I don't think so now. And I have said that even if there were, nobody is above any mistakes. Even if some mistakes were made, I think with this kind of harmonious and productive relationship that exists between the executive and the legislature, that they can go back and ensure that it is corrected. One thing is clear. The separation of powers we are talking about, in a democratic system of government, they are there. They are not to be abused. They are not to create, confusion or strenuous relationship. However, they must be used in such a way that they produce positive benefits for the citizens.
If you watch what's happening lately, you will agree with me that Mr. President is prepared to take us from where we are to a place where we ought to be, to prepare us for the El Dorado that we preach every day, which has eluded us for so long. And so, following what's going on, I think if Parliament also gives that same bite, we will be able to, in this particular year 2024, see specific projects and programs which, if properly oversighted, will touch on the lives of the ordinary person. So that I also know that it is the mandate of the National Assembly. It is no longer what we used to hear. I think this National Assembly is fully prepared. Because like in my place, they say, if you want to go and buy fish, you look at the gills. Once the color changes, you know that there's a problem. It begins to rot away. So in this particular case, the head of government, which is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is leading the way by ensuring that he's alert at all times and is able to take decisions, that will send shivers, to the spines of those who wish to, get involved in sharp practices. So with what he has done lately, anybody would say that. We'll give him kudos. And I hope, and I also know, that all committees is prepared. I'm also aware that the Senate is not also doing anything different. So I think going by what we have in the budget, by His grace, we hope the funds will be available. And if funds are sourced, I think this National Assembly will be prepared to lend support to the executive to make sure that those funds are available where necessary. And the implementation and utilization of those funds, I am sure, will beam appropriate searchlights, as you may call it, from every angle to make sure that we deliver on our promises to the people. Because most of us who went to the countryside, and I've always been going to the countryside, you will agree with me that things are really very difficult. You can imagine if you have to travel from Abuja to Port Harcourt before you get to your village. It will take the savings of over a year of some civil servants. Not to talk of those who don't have a job, which is in the majority. So I welcome the policies of Mr. President, as enumerated in some of the programs that I understand, have just been suspended, pending taking a very critical look at them before they will lay down appropriate structures that will enable these programs and projects to be delivered to those that it is actually meant for. Because when you have empowerment programs, I think, and that's why we always say that if some of them are channeled through, amongst other channels, representatives, because they are closer to the people than any other person else, and they are more accountable. Because like today, you can see that the politics has changed dramatically. It's no longer what we used to call carry-go. So it's a performance that will also help in shoring up votes for you. So if you choose to bungle opportunities that are provided, then you should be ready to ship out.
Now, women in governance has also been an issue of discourse of late, and here is a female perspective on this and how women can continue to be given more prominence and representation in governance.
I think that, politics have always been a man's game. And for any woman that wants to dabble into it, they look at you as weird in the first place. Weird? Yes, they look at you like you want to be a man. So you talk, and then if you have a brother that is funny, they will tell you, you sure somebody will marry you, So I have a friend that she loves everything politics, but her husband doesn't want that because he's not even a politician. So the thing is, the popularity and all of that she's getting, why are you doing this to us? It's always about, why is it you? The other woman is supposed to. Again, politics for me is a game of interest. Now, the women, are they interested? Yes, they want, but no one wants to go and do the job. You don't wait till when it's time for elections to start showing your face that you can do this and all of that. For me, I think the word charity begins at home. It truly begins from where you are. I mean, if you're interested, you start working on it, building it. To be a champion is not a day job. You don't wake up and become a champion. You have to work hard at it and show that, listen, I'm interested, this is my life. So for the politicians that are trying to make a difference, it is their life. They want to be that. But also know there will come a lot of criticism, there will come a lot of hardship. As for a woman, it's double. I mean, for any punishment, imagine what is happening with our dear humanitarian minister now. Because he's a woman, so they see like, you were not supposed to do anything wrong. Men do these things and get away with it, right? There's nothing that she have done that no man have not done. You understand? But because he's a woman, so there's a particular attachment to. A woman is supposed to know what is right because she's a mother. She's supposed to nurture whatever thing she handles, and also they are supposed to go hit it straight up. I don't want to do this, and usually I would tell you women are not that greedy, but I don't know if I want to throw that out anymore, because they say whatever a man can do, a woman can do better. I don't know where we're taking, whether the good side or the bad side. I hope we stick to the good part of it. And women are naturally home builders, and everything that they do. There are women are always on the right, whether you like it or not. So let's not focus on the negativity. Let's focus on the things that they have done right. There are a lot of women in the public space that are not dabbling into it. I have somebody that is a palm said, there is nothing you're doing that will make her go cut short or whatever. She's a woman and she's representing who she is. And if you notice, a lot of when the women are at the helms of the affairs, things are run properly because you have to go through the ladder. You understand what I mean? So all inclusive, I think this government, they are trying to do their best to see what they can do, even if it's not in the Senate, or they're trying to fix women here and there and all of that. Whatever thing we have to be thankful for that. At least there's an argument that women should be inclusive and something. Before, Over the years, nobody mentioned that. It's not even a right. But right now, Beijing, the rights for women, equality and all of that, now we have to come to the table to discuss. And it's a privilege that for every little miles that we have attained, we should be grateful for that. And we want more. And the truth of the matter is that we'll do right with whatever position that is given to us. And let it be the right position. What's wrong with a woman being a governor? But for a woman to be a governor, not because you're a woman, go through the process. And just like every other thing, there will be frustration. There will be, it's just like being a medical doctor. It's the same process. You have to go through. A man being in a class and a woman being in a class, there's no different subject for a woman and all of that. It's the same road. So why is it different in politics? In politics, let the woman run the race. Now you think about a woman, you say, because she has this husband, and then sometimes they tell you she's not even from where she's representing. When by birth and by marriage she is from the place. If we take all of these political lines out of what the individual and the qualification, if the woman is right to be there and she's ready to go through the ladder, I mean, it should give her I mean, everybody's waking up now to do that. It doesn't have to do with, just like they tell you that Nigerians are not ready for a young president. And this is coming from the young people as well, because they tell they don't trust themselves. You know what I mean? But I think we should try to help ourselves and believe in ourselves. You can't give what you don't have. As a woman, if I want to get into politics today, I start now, building, working, try to be friends with everybody. What happened to the grassroots? Have you gone to your village? Do you know people from there? I mean, when the people come out, have you heard about the Adas in the East? The Adas are very strong. When the Adas decide to come out and tell you this is not going to happen, what happened with the Adas coming together to say we want a woman to be a governor? It's a done deal, because there's a woman in your home. Your mother is a woman. You want to go as a man, you want to say, hey, my son, sit here. You people have been doing this all this time. Let's send our daughters to be there. I think that's the narrative we want to hear. But there must be trust. In all of this, we need to trust each other. We start with the women. We have the majority votes. Why will we not stand behind the women? A woman wants to come and run because of what she has. She's intelligent. She knows that she ticked all the boxes, the right candidate, the right categories, and all of that. When the Nigerian factor, the other woman wants to queue where the money is. Because the men have always been in politics, so they know what to do. They are not qualified, but they get it anyways, because they would give you the unspoken words. They tell you the intelligence doesn't work for them. And that's what is killing everything as far as Nigeria is concerned. Nigerians don't believe in too much talk. They say action speaks louder. Until we get past this, then it will work. You go anywhere in the world, when a woman speaks, nobody's saying it that is a woman. They just say, oh, that's their culture. But in our culture, the woman takes the back seat. It is the man first. But something that is very funny, I always say this. It is the man that is fronting. The woman is always the one ruling.
Well, that's it on Senate 109 for this week. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye. See you next time.